Well, that is a good call. So I'm going to answer that question with a demo. Okay. What else? Yes.
So for companies that have a large manufacturing cost or have to build substantial prototypes that actually cost capital, what's your advice for them to raise money without losing a lot of equity?
Yeah, you know that. Well, first of all, that might not be the right path for your first company. I mean, if you truly need something, that takes $100 million to start, probably as a 20-year-old undergraduate at Stanford, it's not going to happen. Okay, so that might be your third company or your second company. That's one answer. But let's suppose that it doesn't take $20 million. Then I will tell you, a fantastic financial alternative is Indiegogo and Kickstarter. I just love that concept. I love that concept because, you know what? I mean, there's so much to love about Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Number one, there's no dilution, right? Because you're not selling pieces of your company. You're selling discounts to your product. So it's not dilutive. That is a beautiful thing. So that's one thing. Second advantage of crowdfunding is that it truly does prove that the dogs will eat the food, right? So you might be able to convince a tall, old, white venture capitalist that people will like your product. And you may be able to raise millions of dollars that way. But the fact that someone who lives in Atherton, who's a Memo Circus Club, who plays golf, who drives a Mercedes, who's 60 years old, white, tall, and old, and male, the fact that you can fool that person into writing a check for you doesn't mean the real customers will use your product. On the other hand, with Indiegogo and Kickstarter, because you have about 2 minutes to attract people to put down their own after-tax credit card money for your prototype, which is not at all guaranteed will ever ship, that is a freaking leap of faith, right? And so that leap of faith, I think, is much greater testimony that people will really buy the product. So that is a harder hurdle to go over than raising venture capital in many senses.
So let's say it takes $10,000. What if you're B2B? What do you do then?
What if you're B2B? B2B and how much money do you need?
Let's say you need $30,000 for $40,000.
B2B $30,000? Oh, so you're saying B2B $30,000, you can't put this on Kickstarter, right? You're not gonna put HIPAA software on Kickstarter, buy now, you get a discount on our HIPAA compliant. Okay. Well, sarcastic as this may seem at all, you're going to have to rely on friends, fools, and family, basically, which is what we call the 3 Fs: friends, fools, and family. Now, let's just face it, we're at Stanford here, right? So not everybody here is wealthy, but a lot of you are. So my advice to you is that many of your parents and grandparents worked for decades to get you to this point, right? They sacrificed, they got you to this point. Ask them for another 30 grand. Why deprive them of the pleasure of not only educating you, but financing the next group?
I'm actually visiting from Ohio. That's not being discussed. I'm visiting.
But seriously, $30,000. You will never raise $30,000 from a venture capitalist because the legal fees for the documentation is $30,000. So you're not gonna spend $30,000 on legal fees to raise $30,000 because then you would be zero, right? So it's really friends, fools, and family.
Define fools, stupid people who give you money.
I'm sorry?
Define fools, stupid people who can talk and give you money for your.
Well, it's a sarcastic term because there's a concept that angel investors shall I say, are less discriminating in their investments than true venture capitalists. Ergo, fools.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so 30-second demonstration of Canva. So Canva is an online graphic design site. The purpose of Canva is for you to be able to create very quickly and easily graphics for Pinterest, social media, presentations, posters, Facebook covers, blogs, Twitter headers. Okay, it's that. So the scenario here is that, how many of you use Pinterest? Oh, man. Okay, you don't, but everybody knows what Pinterest is, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's suppose that you wanted to create a Pinterest graphic. And in my case, I want to create a Pinterest graphic because I want to, God, this network is so slow. Because I want to sell a book, right? So I want to create a Pinterest graphic that I can sell a book. So I am going to, first of all, go to my uploads portion here. You can search for stock photos there, or you can actually use your own photos. And in this case, I will use my own photo. And I will grab my book cover. So this is my book cover. I'm going to make it larger. I'll put it over here. Okay? And then I'm going to grab a background. And I'll use this background and I'll make it black. And so I'm creating this pin. And I say, well, you know, it's too colorful. I want to emphasize the fact that it's for sale now, not the cover. So I'll click on this and I'll filter it. And I'll actually make it black and white. And then to further de-emphasize the cover itself, I am going to I'm just having these issues today. I'm going to leave it like that. Then I'm going to grab some text. And I'm going to grab this thing here. And I'm going to say on sale now. That green doesn't really work for this background, so I'll change this background to red. I'll resize it. So I'll put it over here. Okay? So let's pretend that is a beautiful Pinterest graphic. Okay? Just pretend. It's not, but let's pretend. And then I'm going to now link and publish. And in this case, I'm going to actually create this graphic. So it's creating a PNG in the sky right now. So I've created this graphic. And now I go to, let's go to Pinterest. And I want to add a pin. I'm going to add a pin from my computer of that image. That image is in my downloads folder. And it is over here. I grab that. And I'm going to post it to, let's say, this collection of pins. So, oops, my new book. And I pin it. Now you can see it. So this is now a live pin on Pinterest. I want to add one more thing though. When people click on it, I want them to actually go to this page here. And so I'll put that thing in there. That was the link. And so now when I go here, and people are on Pinterest and they click on this, they go to my Amazon. So in roughly 30 seconds, you saw me build a graphic, save it, put it in Pinterest, link it to the Amazon webpage. So now I just created a Pinterest ad. And so people use this for things like making that in social media. Let's say that you wanted to illustrate a story of, I don't know, ecology. So we will grab a template like this. We can change the text, obviously. Save a tree. And cutting it short, I do the same thing. I save this image. This is now telling me that I am using the rainbow eucalyptus stock photo. So I have to pay for that photo because it's not my photo. So I will spend $1 and make that, and it's creating that thing now. And I will then, it's creating this in the cloud. I will go and grab it and use it to attach to a social media post. So the whole point of Canva is that without using Photoshop, without knowing anything about Photoshop, I can create beautiful graphics that I can deploy on social media. You can also use these kind of graphics inside of emails to make an email more attractive and more effective. So this is the graphic that I just saved. Okay? So this is how you create graphics really quickly, really easy, without Photoshop and without much graphic expertise. So I think this can democratize graphics. And there's so much that we've already done. So let's go over here to social media again. So these are all the templates that we built already. So you look at these templates and you say, well, you know, I have a post about some summer special, so I'll just grab that and I'll use this as my starting point, change this text, save it, use that graphic. So that's what Canva is about. It's about the democratization of design. And I have some gifts for you. My current book is called 8 and explains how to write and self-publish a book. So this is a card that has, you scratch off and has a unique code, so you can get a free copy of 8, how to write and publish a book. And I have about 10 shirts here, like this shirt. I don't know how you're going to decide who gets them.
These are the Android people.
We'll figure it out. It's the shirt you're wearing. Just the shirt I'm
And the camera guy.
Okay. So that's that. And yeah, you have a question?
I did have a question. It sounds like there's a very particular type who tends to be in VC positions, the tall, white, old male.
Yeah.
I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
If you're not one of those, how do you become a VC organization?
Oh, is that what you're asking? How do you become a VC?
I highly don't get questions. Not just VC, how do you get funded?
Oh, how do you get funded if you're not also white male? Okay, so 2 different questions. So first question, how do you get funded? Again, you show up with a prototype and the dogs are eating the food. That's the great equalizer. It doesn't matter if you're a male, female, heterosexual, bisexual, asexual, it doesn't matter. If you can catalyze lust, all venture capitalists care about is making money, right? So you could be the most different person from the funder, but if you show them a way or you prove to them or they lust for you to make money for them, that's all that really counts. Right? In that sense, it's a meritocracy. Sickening meritocracy, but meritocracy nonetheless. If your question was how do you become a VC?
Or just if you see that changing.
It is going to change, but I think there are very few female VCs. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they don't want to be in an insipid career path. Could be. But I don't know why. But let me answer the question, how do you become a VC? So I think the key to remember for becoming a good VC, as opposed to just a VC, is that you should become a venture capitalist at the very end of your career. So you become a VC just before you die or go senile. It's not something that you do at the beginning of your career. Because at the beginning of your career, one of the fundamental values that VCs try to portray is that they can offer you good advice. So then you have to ask, well, how do you become a good VC who can offer good advice? And the answer to that question is first-hand experience. So the career path of Stanford, GSB, Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, Lehman, Accenture, VC is irrelevant because at Accenture, Goldman Sachs, and Lehman, and McKinsey, you never had to be you never had to be an entrepreneur. All you had to do was perform analysis, put up a chart in PowerPoint that was 2 by 2, and say you need to be in the upper right-hand corner. That's all you did for your entire career. So now, how the hell are you going to, did you work for McKinsey?
I did consulting before.
Well,
so-
isn't that the gist of it?
Yeah, the quadrants.
Yeah. I'll give you the secret to all consulting. You want to be in the upper right-hand corner. That's all it takes. Just label the axes so that you're in the upper right-hand corner. The axis, the vertical axis could be number of Stanford graduates who drive German cars. We have the most Stanford graduates who drive German cars. Well, that's what you want to be, the upper right-hand corner. So my point here is that if you want to be a great VC, you need to have had an operating role of being a venture capital, of being an entrepreneur. In a sense, it's a nice way of me saying you need to have the shit kicked out of you before you can be a good VC. There are good VCs.
One last question.
Okay, one last question.
Just devil's advocate, if there are so many bad VCs, why does it survive as an asset class? Why do people keep giving?
Well, I mean, arguably it's not surviving as an asset class because well, right now there's less need for it, right? Because everything is free or cheap. And there's free, cheap, Kickstarter, Indiegogo. I mean, that's pressure from the bottom, right? From the top, there hasn't been a lot of liquidity.
That's
So,
bouncing back a little bit, though.
but it is bouncing back a little, but as an asset class, you know, I don't know, get the chief investment officer of CalPERS in here and ask him, do you lust for more of your portfolio to be in venture capital? I don't think so. Even private equity, I don't think so. I feel so bad now. I so tainted you on venture capital.
Consulting too.
Yeah, MBA. This is the last time you're going to have me speak.
No, it's
Thank you very much.